Welcome in, guys, to Seahawks Today. I'm Megan Payton. We've got a trade show today. This is where we are going to be talking about the Seahawks players that you might be willing to give up if you can get something in return for them. All of this to come, but we do want to shout out our presenting sponsor, which is Magic Spoon. If you have not tried them out yet, please go and check out them. They have the best cereal, and it is also healthy. Guys, I'm telling you, you're missing out if you haven't tried it. Go to magicspoon.com/Seahawks. You're going to get $5 off your order today. So as the trade deadline approaches November 2nd, there's a couple different ways that Seattle can go about this, whether they're going to be more on the buying side or the selling side. But right now we're going to talk about the Seahawks on the selling side. And the first guy that I have up is LJ Collier. Now, to me, this is a guy that I think the Seahawks could get rid of. I don't think that they're going to lose much by getting rid of Collier. He's so far not played much in 2021. He's been a healthy scratch for the Seahawks. He was a healthy scratch last week. They're not using him. So could they get something out of him? That's a little bit of the question mark. But in 2020, LJ had 22 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, no forced fumbles. But this is a guy that you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to trade him and get a ton. But he's someone that if you're not using him anyway, you find a team that maybe he's a better fit with that can kind of play even a backup role with a different team. Maybe he would be better somewhere else. And again, I don't think Seattle would be missing him much. He was a first-round pick, though, and he was 29th overall coming out of TCU. So does he have potential? Probably. I just don't think right now with what the current line is for the Seahawks. You know, they've got Mayoa, they've got Puna Ford, Al Woods, Rasheem Green, Darrell Taylor. Now, these are guys that they are counting on, and so therefore LJ Collier is just not getting the playing time that honestly he probably deserves, and the Seahawks aren't going to be doing that for him. So maybe he is someone that you take maybe a late 5th round pick for. Let me know, though, do you guys think the Seahawks should trade LJ Collier? If you think so, type Y for yes, and if not, type N for no. I think that, even though he was projected to be a really good player coming out of the draft, I think you look at what the Seahawks have right now, and he's not really helping out where they need. They're not using him. I'd say this is a guy I would absolutely feel comfortable with the Seahawks trading. Next up on our trade candidates list is Rashaad Penny. Now, this one kind of hurts because I like Rashaad Penny a lot, and I think that it's hard because we haven't gotten to see him really this year. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries. He was on IR. He's just now gotten activated off IR. He's maybe going to play this week. We're not sure. But with Alex Collins really stepping up with Chris Carson out, he's kind of taken on this role that maybe Rashaad Penny had before. And, obviously they have DJ Dallas, they've got Travis Homer, they've got guys already in their locker room, and Rashaad Penny could possibly need a fresh start. Now, am I saying I'd like to see Rashaad leave Seattle? No, because I do think that he is a good running back when he's healthy, and I think that the Seahawks would benefit from him, but they really are doing well in the run game without him. So this may be an area where you say, hey, we'll give him up, maybe get something in return. Now, I want to tell you guys about something that you guys will get in return. If you go to magicspoon.com/Seahawks, you're going to get the best cereal that is out there. Guys, there's a ton of flavors to choose from, and we talk about Magic Spoon a lot, but if you have not tried it, go and order it. They will give you 100% of your money back if you don't like it, but you will like it because it tastes like Fruit Loops, but it's healthy. It has 13 grams of protein, 4 grams of net carbs, and somehow there's no sugar. This is what I eat probably every morning. I'm switching back and forth between fruity, frosted, peanut butter, a lot of options. Make sure you go check out magicspoon.com/Seahawks. Now back to Rashaad Penny. He has had 163 carries in his career. He's had 831 yards, an average of 5.1, and 5 touchdowns. So I do think that there are teams that would be willing to take the risk with the injuries that he does come with and say, I'm going to bet on him. Now, are running backs expendable? A little bit. And that's the problem when you come up with a lot of injuries. And a guy like Rashaad Penny has obviously dealt with this, and it's going to be a major concern for other teams that would be willing to take him. Especially with his injury history, this has been someone that you just haven't seen much of. He had a knee strain in 2018, missing some time. He had an ACL tear in 2019. Then he had a knee strain again this year, and now the calf strain that he's working back from. So a lot of injury problems for Rashaad Penny. And to be honest, that is what a team that would potentially want him would be looking at. So kind of brings up the question of, is he even tradable? I think that he is. I think that there are teams that would want him, and I think that the Seahawks could potentially get rid of him. But I do want to hear your thoughts. Is Penny tradable? If so, type T for tradable or type U for untradeable. Get your votes in. But my next guy that I'm going to talk about is Brandon Shell. Brandon Shell, another player that has dealt with injuries, another guy that we haven't gotten to see that much out of because he's had the ankle injury. He's had the leg injury. He left last night with also what I think was a leg injury. So we are not getting to see a full performance out of Brandon Shell. To me, this is someone that you could potentially trade. What you'd get from him, I mean, I don't think you would get a ton, but maybe a 5th round pick, maybe a 6th round. Not exactly sure what teams would potentially see out of him. But, right now, they do have guys like Dwayne Brown, Damian Lewis, Kyler Fuller at center, Gabe Jackson. Now, Brandon Shell did come in, obviously, as the starting right tackle, but the offensive line hasn't completely dropped the ball for Russell Wilson and now Geno Smith, but they haven't been fantastic. So I do think, you hear the guy Brandon Shell and you think, no, you can't get rid of him, but you actually look at what he's done and I'd say, hey, this would be someone that I'd be willing to give up if a deal was kind of fair on the Seahawks side of things. But do you think that the Seahawks could become sellers, actually? Because when I look at this trade deadline and I see how is Seattle going to approach this, I do think that they are going to be on the buying side of things. At least I think that they should be on that side. Because right now you're thinking about how can we win this season. I don't think that they are going to really start being more concerned with future picks until they know, hey, we don't have Russell Wilson anymore either. He's leaving or retiring or whatever. So I think the ultimate goal is to win this year. That's why I do think that the Seahawks will be on the buying side of things. But what do you guys think? How should Seattle approach the trade deadline? Do you see them as more buyers? If so, type B for buyers. And if you see them as sellers, type S for sellers. I'm going to go with buyers. But while we're talking sellers, the next guy that no one wants to hear is Quandre Diggs. Quandre Diggs is probably, I'm going to say, maybe their top player on defense right now. So do you want to get rid of Quandre Diggs, especially with the way that Jamal Adams has been playing? You don't. But right now, can the Seahawks, will they be able to afford Quandre Diggs is the real question. Because right now they're paying $17.5 million to Jamal Adams. Quandre Diggs could absolutely end up in this category of highest paid safeties. He is going to be expensive. And so you look at guys like Justin Simmons, Budda Baker, Eddie Jackson, and you see what they're making. You're looking at a very hefty price. So whether or not the Seahawks say Quandre Diggs has been great, but we can get maybe something really good in return. Do you think the Seahawks will actually pay for 2 safeties, though? I mean, this might be a bold take here, but I'm just going to say it. I think that Quandre Diggs might actually be more in Seattle's favor to keep than obviously Jamal Adams, which, just did sign his new deal. So that would be a little bit of a more difficult situation given how much he has cost Seattle. But I do think Quandre Diggs, they would get a lot out of him. Do you think, though, it would be possible for the Seahawks to get him for a 1st round pick? And if so, would you trade Quandre Diggs for a 1st round pick? We are not talking 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Only if you could be sure that they would get a 1st round pick. would you give up Quandre Diggs? If you think yes, type 1 for yes. And if not, type 2 for no. Was this, I kept hitting the spoon. I'm sorry. I had it in terrible position.